Last video clip, I told you about how to remember one-letter codes for amino acids. Let's do some practice here. So these are hydrophobic amino acids. Here's the structure of alanine. So what is the single letter code for alanine? That is A, because alanine is hydrophobic and it's abundant. Then what about the valine here? The valine is also B. You can use the first letter for valine. How about leucine? Leucine is the same thing. Leucine is abundant and hydrophobic. That's why you can use L, first letter. Here's isoleucine structure. Isoleucine is also hydrophobic. You can use the first letter. So now let's go to, the hydrophobic amino acids are all easy because they are all hydrophobic. They tend to be abundant. That's why you can use the first letter in most cases. But in the case of phenylalanine, you can't use the P because P is used for proline here. Proline is P. That's why you cannot use P for phenylalanine. Phenylalanine is phonetically suggestive. You can use F for phenylalanine. The methionine is easy, M. That's all. So now let's move to the polar or neutral amino acids. Here's the structure of glycine. Glycine is simple. That's why you can use G, the first letter, for glycine. Serine as well. The threonine as well. You can use the first letter. What about the cysteine? If you remember, cysteine is the one of the amino acid that use the sulfur atom. The C, you can use this, for cysteine, you can use the first letter. So now let's go to the more difficult amino acids. What about the tyrosine? You can't use T for tyrosine because you use a T for threonine. The tyrosine is phonetically suggestive. It is Y. What about tryptophan? Tryptophan has two ring structures. That's why you can use W ring structure. Then asparagine, do you remember? What is the asparagine? Asparagine is N. It's one of the most difficult single letter, one letter codes in amino acid, N. Then what about glutamine? Glutamine is larger than asparagine. That's why, that the smaller, the earlier in the alphabet. Glutamine is glutamine, that's Q. Okay, let's move on. So what are the charged amino acids? These tend to be difficult as well. So here's the structure of aspartic acid and glutamic acid. If you remember, these two amino acids are umami amino acids. They taste really good. So aspartic acid and glutamic acid, I told you that's the smaller, the earlier in the alphabet. So aspartic acid is D and glutamic acid is E. What about the basic amino acids? Lysine, can you use the L for lysine? You can't because you use L for leucine. The K is used for lysine because K is closer to L. Then what about the arginine? Arginine is phonetically suggestive. Here's arginine, R sound here. It is R here. So what about the histidine? Histidine is the only amino acid that starts with H. You can use H here. That's all. Then can you remember them all? They are easy to remember. And also in my class, we are going to use one letter codes extensively. Now, I'll tell you about one story. So she was a graduate student at Yale University. Then she had a conference in West Coast. She took a flight from East Coast to West Coast. Then on the flight, she found middle-aged women sitting right next to her. They started talking to each other. Then the middle-aged woman said, "What are you doing?" "Well, I'm a graduate student in the Yale University. I'm working on biophysics. What do you do for your research?" Then she thought it's really difficult to explain the research for lay public. Then that's what she thought. Then she started, she made a startup company. Then in that company, she made lots of accessories using chemical structures, and also the thank you card using chemical structures here. If you look at this thank you card, look at this thank you card. What is this amino acid? So there's a ring structure right here. It's a proline here. Proline, single letter code for the proline is P. Then what about this one? This one has acid here. It is a glutamic acid. Glutamic acid, what is the single letter code called glutamic acid? That's E. That's the smaller, the earlier in the alphabet. Aspartic acid is D, but glutamic acid is E. So then PE. Then here's alanine here, the cysteine here. This is a sulfur atom here. So, right? The C and another glutamic acid E. So then it's a piece. It's a nice idea. So then you can use the one letter codes for amino acid. Then you can save your time.